Hello, and welcome back to the Flying Cap Marketing interview series. Today I have Kelly Odor, who is Marketing Director at Bookster, a property management system. How are you doing today, Kelly? I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm doing great, thanks. And thank you for inviting me. It's really nice and good to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been chatting a bit, interacting together on LinkedIn for a while. We even talked a couple times over a call, and we have so much to talk about, so much to cover today. So I'm really excited to get into it. So I want to talk first a little bit about your background in the industry. I know that you have many years in marketing across different kinds of companies, and you've been with Bookster for 3 years. So tell me more about your background.
Okay, sure. So yeah, I actually feel quite old when I say it, but I've got 20 plus years working in marketing. I started off working for a big pensions company here in the UK, and I was there for forever, it felt. And then I left there and set up my own business in Spain with a bookshop. And what that taught me was that I don't like running bookshops. So I also bought and rebranded a magazine, which I loved, and ran that for a couple of years. And then just after I had my children, I went back into kind of full-time proper employment. And I started working for a software company, which has led me here to where I am now, working in Bookster. And as you say, I've been there for 3 years. And I think the nice thing from my perspective, having worked in different industries, is being able to kind of take bits and pieces from each industry and apply it in other ones. So I feel very fortunate really to have this experience, although quite old.
It is really nice to have those kind of transferable skills from one industry into a new one and have it cross over, even though the customers are different, what you're selling is different. What kind of skills have you been able to take over from your earlier marketing jobs to your newer ones?
Um, well, I suppose when I first started working in pensions marketing, I I had this bit of a funny experience actually. So I had this complaint land on my desk, and I didn't deal with complaints. I had no idea how it had ended up with me, but still there it was. And I remember looking at it, and it was, a client, and the general response, corporate response, you reply back quickly, you sympathize, you take on as little blame as possible. And that, I think, is what people were expecting me to do with it. But it's not who I am. And what, in fact, I wanted to do was kind of look at the bigger picture and see, well, if it's happened to you, is it happening to other people? What's the root cause of this? Is this something we can change? And that is the skill that I learned there. It was quite a difficult process for me to learn it. I was only young, I was kind of early 20s, but I put myself through this process and actually put the whole department through quite this process, quite uncomfortable process of working out, not just what our legal obligations are, but also what our moral obligations are towards our clients. We know so much more than they do. And if we don't tell them, we're potentially, in that particular case, she was losing money as a result of it. She was losing her retirement fund. And so there, I put in process this project, and it meant she wasn't directly helped, but all future clients were going to be much more supported. And I was really proud of the work that I did there. And that's a skill that I've then carried through for my whole career. When I look at Bookster now, the team's really up for it. When we see there are problems in the industry, we see on the forums that people are worried about certain situations, we like to sit down as a company and discuss what we can do. So as an example, a couple of years now, I think we were running live events, but we could also see on the forums, people were really worried about why they weren't ranking well in the channels like booking.com, why they weren't getting enough bookings in. And as a team, we sat down and looked into this, and we thought, well, we could train, individual people on how to rank better, or we could come up with a tool that's actually going to make a difference here. So that's what we did. And we looked at kind of the fundamentals. What's the data that's needed to rank well in channels? What is it that people aren't completing? What are they not doing? And yeah, we pulled together. It's actually, it's quite a small tool, but it's so nifty. And it's called the property listing strength. not a very small name. But it's amazing, and it's in 2 different places in the software, and it makes such a difference. And we wouldn't have been able to do that had we not been kind of thinking on the broader scale rather than just focusing on individual people. So I really enjoy that, and yeah, it works well for us.
So I know that you had mentioned as well that you're working on making Bookster more inclusive, and that seems to tie into this skill, like identifying where there are gaps, where there are issues that other companies might not foresee for their clients, and one of them is being more inclusive. Can you tell me a little bit more about the project that you're doing with Bookster there?
Yeah, so again, that's another project that is a repeat really from something I did in a different company. So right then, again, going back a gazillion years, I looked at the literature that we were producing and realized that it was very narrow, and we really were not representing the community as a whole. And especially we were a global company, and we were definitely not representing that. And so we put in place some changes within that particular company. And right now, as you say, in Bookster, we're doing exactly the same thing. I had to look at our branding really, and I just thought, you know, we can do better than this. And the branding's lovely. I love the design. It's amazing, but it just wasn't reflective enough of not only our clients, but also their guests, who
Mm-hmm.
again, international guests. Why were we not reflecting that? People with different needs, they weren't being reflected either. And, you know, people become invisible if they're not being represented in everyday ways. So we, within Bookster, looked at what we could do, looked at what other companies were doing, looked at what specialist companies were doing. And we've tried to reflect that within our website. I've got quite a big job. I've now got to reflect it within the videos, because we've got loads of videos, and you know, they're not using the same branding. And then the next stage, which I'm really excited about, because we have a website, obviously, we have a corporate website, but we also create websites for our clients. And the goal there is to attract guests. And I saw this, it was an advert on guide dogs the other week, and it really stuck in my mind. And it was, I can't remember word for word, but it was something along the lines of, I might be sight impaired, but I still want, no, hang on a second, what was it? Sight impaired. It's not my sight impairment that's stopping me buying my dress, it's your website. And I thought, yeah, exactly. Like people who are sight impaired, people who have difficulty reading, people who have difficulty with, you know, various different aspects of using websites, they're still going to be wanting to book a holiday this year.
Yeah.
But, you know, websites aren't being designed with that particular, you know, type of person in mind. We're not being considerate enough. We're not being inclusive enough. So that's something that we're looking at to see, are we doing enough? Are we not? I mean, I can already see we're probably not. So what can we do that's better? And it's exciting. And I'm really proud that I've done it before and that we're doing it again. And yeah, I enjoy that.
Is this something that your customers have asked you for, or is it something that you tell them that you're doing?
No one's asked us for it. And yes, we're telling them that we're doing it, but it's a kind of work in process, the telling them bit. So we haven't told them yet about the new imagery on the website. I'm quite excited to see what they say. I'm going to put out some things on the social media about it to kind of interact. I went to an ASSC event, which is an event here in Scotland a couple of years ago, when we were still allowed to be face-to-face. And I saw the guide dogs there talking about how you can be more accessible. And there was a lot of interest from the people in the room, a lot of questions. And we've run an event on this recently, and again, loads of questions. So I think there is an interest in it, but it's just not at the forefront of people's minds. You know, they're thinking about getting bookings. They're not thinking, oh, how can I make this better for this type of person? It's just the way it is. But like from a very personal perspective, I've got a big interest in being inclusive. My dad set up a company 40 years ago or so, and it was all about creating technical and communication aids for people who've got difficulties. So even when I was, 10, 12, I was writing reports for school about how to be more inclusive, how we can create technology that's going to support people who are in wheelchairs, for example, or who are blind but needed to catch buses. So it's always been kind of part of my blood, and I really enjoy it. And my dad's proud of me too, so you can't ask
Oh,
more
that's
than
so nice. I love how you had that dream when you were 10 and now you're bringing it into the tech companies that you work for. And
Yeah, the thing is, that's how you get to influence people,
I
isn't it?
love
It's
it.
about actually being part of it.
And by association, you're also getting Bookster customers to be more inclusive for their guests, even if they don't know it. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
exactly. And I think knowing who our clients are, I think they'll be delighted.
Yeah.
But I just need to tell them first.
Yeah. So going back to the property listing strengths tool,
Mhm.
um, I'm interested in how you guys developed this tool, how you got customer feedback to iterate on it, and how it tied into the rest of your roadmap, because this was your baby as well. So I'm curious about how that came to be.
Okay, 3 questions there. Tell me if I forget any of them. So how we developed it. I mean, it's a team effort. That's the way Bookster is. It's all about using everybody's strengths. So the first thing we need to do was, once we identified it was a problem to do with listings, which we all kind of saw through our clients' listings. Our channel experts went and identified which bits of data were most required by the channels. And that was their kind of aspects that they brought through. We have a user experience team. So they looked at how they were going to format this data to make it super easy, super easy to use, and self-service. You know, we want it to be that our clients can look at something and say, I know what to do with that. They don't need to be constantly trained on lots of new things. They just know. So our user experience team worked on that. And then we did the customer journey within our service and within our software, and identified the different places where they would need to see it and what they would need to see at different times, because it's not just one bit of information. There's various different stages there, and we identified 2 different spots for it. And then at that point really is when I stepped in. So from a marketing perspective, I'm responsible for getting a lot of the feedback. Firstly, when we do something new, we put it out on beta, and we have a number of clients who are always dead keen to be the first to try something, quite happy to be the guinea pigs. They always give us feedback, and it's always useful. And we use that feedback to, make adjustments to it before it goes live. Once it goes live, I communicate that out to all of our clients, and we're always really proactive. We want feedback. We appreciate feedback. It's what makes us better. And it's not always comfortable, but it is always useful. So we take our feedback, and every week we have development meetings on a Tuesday afternoon, and we go through all of that feedback and have conversations about, is it something we can do now? Is it something we really want to do, but we can't do now, so it's going to go into the backlog? Or is it something that just wouldn't work or just isn't feasible? Because, you get those ideas too. And yeah, so that's the second bit of feedback. And we do a third bit of feedback, which is our annual feedback, where we go out to our clients. And it's not about one specific tool. It's more saying, how is it all going? Are you happy with what we're doing? Are you happy with our customer service? Do you find our software easy to use? And we're kind of following through on all the things that we want to be representative as a brand. And we ask them how we're getting on with that. And again, not always comfortable, but the feedback we get is amazing, and we use it. So 2 years ago or so, we took all the feedback from the previous 2 years, collated it together into a document, and identified that our software needed a revamp, a quite considerable revamp. There were buttons in the wrong places. It wasn't entirely logical, didn't look that pretty. Time had gone on and it had not blossomed as much as it needed to. So we basically ripped it apart using that feedback, put it together, rebranded it, and it's so much nicer now to use. And ultimately, we wouldn't have done that had we not gone out and asked for that feedback. So it's essential. And yeah, I love doing it. I love reading it. I do feel somewhat awkward when I see some of the responses, but that's what we need, you know, to get better, I would say.
But what do you use actually to get feedback? You send an email out?
Yeah, we sent an email out, and it's got a form that I have forgotten the name of the form that we use, but something to do with a monkey, survey monkey. And
Survey
people just fill it
monkey.
out and send it. Yeah, and it's great, dead simple.
Have you found over the years the sweet spot for getting a lot of feedback, but also, you know, getting a lot of responses? Because I guess the more questions you ask, the fewer responses you'll get, or?
Yeah, so we tend to ask the same number of questions each time, and I think it's 7. And we use a mixture of closed and open. But to be honest, last year we didn't get as many responses, and I'm wondering whether that was because we were right in the middle of COVID and nobody wanted to think about anything. You know, they just wanted to forget everything and just be. But you know, in previous years we would get lots and lots of feedback. Also, I suppose last year there weren't as many people using the software. I hate to say it,
Yeah.
a lot of clients just weren't logging in every day because they had nobody coming. So, you know, they weren't finding out all the good things.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm optimistic. Give it, yeah, a couple of weeks. We'll be thinking about what's going into the next one. I like consistency. So I like to ask the same questions each time, because then I can use that comparison year on
Yeah.
year. You know, every time I throw in a new question, it screws up my comparisons.
Yeah.
But it's good, and it's a good thing to do. So I'm happy with that.
That's a good
You
point.
you asked me another question about roadmaps.
Yes, I did. I said, what's the roadmap for
So
the?
roadmap, we have a roadmap. Well, we have a few roadmaps actually. So in the board, we've got a plan, which is kind of 3 to 5 years. And then each January, we sit down as a company and plan what are the big projects that we're going to do and we're going to schedule in for the year, and how we're going to fit that over the course of the year, each on a month by month basis. And we work in sprints. So we have our monthly sprints and releases, and our weekly, monthly releases, and it works really well. It helps us kind of stay on track. But as far as that tool is concerned, it wasn't part of the plan, but it was part of the kind of longer term roadmap of being able to support our clients to do better and to, you know, get better results on the channels. So it fit in the longer plan. It just wasn't part of our kind of yearly plan. And I think, to be honest, that's a good thing. Like we have a plan, but we need to be flexible. And it's that flexibility that's going to help us be able to provide things that clients need. You know, even just thinking, last January, I hadn't even heard of COVID, like as a thing. I had never heard of it. But by May, we were releasing COVID buffers, you know, whatever that is. But, you know, we needed that flexibility to be able to say, okay, as a company, we need to put this to one side because this is much more important now. This is the focus. Guests have changed, clients have changed, and we need to be able to respect that. So, you know, we have our plans, but it's important to be flexible with them.
Yeah, it's looking at the bigger picture, really.
I'm all about that.
You're all about looking at the bigger picture. And I know you had mentioned that's what you guys try to focus on as well at Bookster, because especially in the vacation rental industry, which has so much fragmentation, there are so many tools that sort of do the same thing, and it's really hard to differentiate. So you end up copying each other. What do you do to make Bookster unique, and how does your lessons from your past marketing experience and everything that you've learned so far, how does that apply?
I would say just having this amount of experience has made me really conscious of the fact that that is what a lot of companies do, not just software companies. I mean, look at any industry, and what you tend to have is somebody come along with a new idea, somebody come in behind, copy them, usually do better and go into kind of the top spot, and then a whole raft of other people coming in and trying to copy and mimic them behind. And as a marketer, I find that so frustrating because I don't want to be in a company that's identical to that company and identical to that company, but just with a different brand. You know, I want to be in a company that's different. I want to be in an industry where, you know, you're leading the way for your area of specialism, because it is so fragmented and it's becoming even more so. So we want to really suit that market. So as a company, we sat down about 2 years ago when we were looking at the skills that we've got, and we looked at the developments that go well and look at what clients are asking us for, what, the kind of direction they're going in. And we realized that we had a lot of skills in SEO. So we create our own websites and they're very SEO orientated. We do lots of training to make sure that people are aware of what they're doing. We will create plans for people if they want to go in that direction as well. We're all about trying to come up with strategies and directions to get bookings on their own websites. So thinking about the social media plans, thinking about their email marketing plans. And that was our strength. We really enjoy doing it and we're good at it. And our clients have benefited from that. And so we realized that now this was a direction we were keen to go in. So that's something that we've been focusing on in the last couple of years, building up a selection of tools that help people who want to take bookings on their own website. I think it's very easy to kind of do lip service to that and say, oh, you've got tools that are going to help people take bookings, but ultimately there's some quite specific tools and quite specific information that you need if you want to do that. And so we're trying to provide that. So that has definitely helped us shape what direction we're going in. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does. And I know that you're saying another one of the tools that you, I guess, train your customers or help guide them through is email marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about how you approach email marketing.
So I've spent this week actually doing 2 different training sessions on email marketing. So I feel like my head's full of it at the moment. But we use email marketing as a company, and I've used it in a few other companies as well. They just think it's so important. And I know some people, I think, are a bit flummoxed by the GDPR regulations. They're not quite sure what they can send and who they can send it to. And that actually paralyzes them. They end up sending nothing. And I also feel that some people they're just not quite sure what to send, what's going to be in the message. And again, as a result, it just, goes down the priority list and isn't used at all. From my perspective, I've used a couple of different tools. So I've used Campaign Monitor, MailChimp, and ActiveCampaign within my career. And I really like using those tools. I really like having the functionality to set up automated emails, so they just happen on your behalf. You don't even need to think about them. And also the flexibility to send out really personalized campaigns, depending on whether they're a lead or whether they're a client or whether they're an ex-client or a partner. And having that option to send out different messages, I think is wonderful. I love it.
What do you guys use at Bookster? What email marketing tool?
So we have an email marketing tool which is integrated into Bookster, but the base of it is from Campaign Monitor.
Okay. So, and you use drip campaigns for Bookster?
So we have these automated campaigns which go out, and we've got a selection of different ones that I've set up. Probably not as many as we could have. Thinking about it, there's definitely more scope, but at the moment, if somebody becomes registered on our website, they'll start to get a selection of kind of brand building, welcoming emails over a period of a couple of weeks. I think we send 5. And it's all about moving that particular person towards getting a demo with our sales team and kind of introducing who we are as a company, but without being all hard sales, because that's not who we are at all. And as and when they become a client, those emails will stop and they'll start to get a different selection of emails, which are all about kind of confirming that they've made the right decision, reinforcing who we are as a company, and trying to encourage them onto the next stage, which is getting their training, because ultimately they need to be confident in using the software in order to, stay with us for a long term. So that's the goal there. And so they're the kind of the automated emails that we've got. At some point, if a client hasn't logged in or a person hasn't logged into the software for quite a while, an automated email will go out saying, hey, is everything okay? Can we help you? Do you need any training? You know, whatever it might be. And we get a lot of people responding back to those.
Okay.
So it makes me think that, you know, I could be using that a little more and really kind of building on that. But I think, I don't know, people get busy and they register and then they forget and then they get sidetracked, and then that's life, isn't it? But a little reminder that goes out automatically for us works really well. So very
that
happy
works
with it.
well for retention of new customers.
So retention of new customers, I would say the most effective thing is a combination of having our training set up early, which is why we have these training emails going out, and having our monthly newsletters going out, which are kind of reinforcing the good things, you know, that they're going to find by using our new features or our new tools, reminding them about our existing tools that maybe they've forgotten about, talking about events, inviting them to come along and meet us in the times when we can be face to face. And yeah, really just, I don't know, just building that relationship, because it's the relationship that's key. And before I started in the company, this wasn't something that Bookster was particularly strong at. So the feedback that I got when I first started, I asked for feedback, I got a little questionnaire out, was that our clients didn't know when we were making new developments. They just, I don't think they thought we were making any, you know, sitting back and twiddling our fingers. So yes, they didn't know what we were doing. They weren't aware that we were holding events. And, you know, it was just a bit of a, you know, it was a wasted relationship really between the clients and Bookster. So we put in place these monthly newsletters and it's made a big difference. And I think that the churn rate is low, but I think it stays low because we've now got great relationships with our clients and leads as well. You know, we have people replying back to the newsletters to say, you know, they're really happy with us doing this, or they're really interested in this particular topic and they find out more. It's just having that conversation, but it's, you know, you've got to have something to say and then start the conversation with them.
So what's the key to the monthly newsletter? What's the most engaging thing that you found to include in those?
That is a good question. I'm not certain what the most engaging thing is, truth be told. I would need to go and check. I tend to put in events and new developments at the top because I think obviously you're going to get more people reading at the top than at the bottom. And these are the things that we really want our clients and leads and partners to see that we're doing. So that's obviously going to get most visibility. But as far as clicks, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head which ones are getting most. And I'm feeling quite ashamed of that.
It's okay. Well, what do you think is the key to creating a good company newsletter?
I would say the key is having something to say. It's knowing who your audience is and what they would be interested in, and saying, you know, what they need to hear, what's going to help build that relationship and make you closer, help them become advocates for your company, you know, really make them feel like they know you and they're warm towards you. So yeah, I think the key is to find the topics that you want to talk about. And if you don't have those topics, you need to go out and make them and then talk about them.
And the emails that you send, are you have them divided over a customer journey?
Yeah, so predominantly it's leads, clients, ex-clients, and partners. And it's the same fundamental email, but you know, you can split it so you can say this section's only for leads, this section's only for clients, this section's for everybody. And it can be a bit of a head twister when I'm trying to put it together, but it means I only need to send out one email and everybody gets it. It's wonderful.
Okay, so I know that Active Campaign can do that as well. I just discovered this feature recently, but that you can actually take a whole section and just say, this only goes to these people, which is amazing.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it until about 6 months ago or so, when somebody pointed out to me that I didn't need to be sending out all these different emails. I was like, oh, great. I need to read the updates more.
Thank you, guys. Maybe they're not sending the newsletter with their own updates. Like they should.
No, they probably are. But, you know, sometimes, and I think this is a big issue, is that your inboxes are just so full.
Yeah.
So again, this is a big thing. If you're sending out your own newsletter, how are you going to make it be seen?
Yeah.
What's the name you're going to put on it? What title are you going to put on it? And, it's always worth trying those two different titles to see if that will affect the open rate. When you're going to send it. We found sending it on a Saturday morning increased our open rate enormously.
Really?
Saturday morning, people are just sitting around, they've got a cup of coffee. This is what I vision in my head, by the way. This is me on a Saturday. They've got a cup of coffee, they're just relaxing, they're checking the phone, and they've got more time. Whereas, there's the recommendation, Tuesday and a Thursday is the best time to send a newsletter. I don't find that, because on Tuesday and Thursday, everybody's kind of sitting at the desk going, working away, and they're not spending the time looking over a newsletter. So for me, Saturday mornings.
That's a great tip. I'm gonna try that.
No one else try it though. I don't want to filter everyone's inbox.
Then it's gonna switch over the days because people are gonna get all their emails on Saturday mornings. And so, because my struggle is I can get open rates aren't as much as my struggle as click-through rates. I'm trying to find the secret sauce, and I'm starting to wonder whether clicking is something that I need to be focusing on in an email, or whether I need to really just try to deliver the value of the content right there in the email. What is it that you guys do that you found works well?
We have a lot of internal discussions about exactly the same topic. I know Robin, who's our director, he's very keen on having one big key thing that he wants to talk about in a newsletter, and a button to say, if you're interested in reading about the rest of the things, click through here and you can go and see everything in our blog. And that kind of gets people into the website and interacting with the website. Whereas for me, I'm more about, can I tell them that we've done, or we're doing these 6 things without them needing to click and start, going on an adventure?
Yeah.
Can I just tell them and I literally have 3 lines per project, for about 6 words per line, not a lot at all, and an image. Can I squeeze enough information in there so that they look at it for, let's say, 30 seconds and they know 6 projects that we're working on? For me, that is a win, and I'm delighted with that.
So delivering the value right there in the email.
Yeah, because I think, again, you're fighting for time. You're fighting with, people's time is so precious. You want to make sure that they get what they need from you in the least amount of time that it's going to take them to do it. So I find, short, for me, short is better.
Yeah. What about personalization?
Okay, so personalization is a bit of a bugbear, because I know that if you have people's names, for example, in the email header that they can see in their inbox, it's like 22%, 23% higher open rates, which is wonderful. If you're sending out emails, that's much better. But for me, if I get an email with my name on it, I know I'm just part of this algorithm, and it really annoys me. But I think that's part of the problem with working with email marketing, is that you know the tricks, and therefore you don't fall for them. But if it increases by 20%, I mean, that's a winner. But I don't do it.
20%'s big.
20% is massive, right? Yeah.
All right, Kelly, this has been really fun. Where's the best place for people to connect with you if they want to keep talking to you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. More than welcome to find me on LinkedIn and connect and have a chat. Obviously, you can find me through Bookster as well. So just email us through there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, on all the big ones, not Instagram actually so much, but yes, I'm more than happy if anyone would like to get in touch and have a chat. Wonderful.
Thank you so much. Well, if anybody listening to or watching this episode enjoyed it, please get in touch with Kelly on LinkedIn or the other channels that she mentioned. Give this episode a like, a share, and why not subscribe? Thank you very much for joining us today, Kelly.
It's been brilliant. I can't believe, is that 20 minutes already?
Yeah, I think so.
It's just flown by. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
It's been so much fun. Thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.